Close. They've even named a street after me. Well, it's to be expected, I suppose. Hospital Porter's Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order, welcome to Hapanwo TV. I'll just give you a little 360 of where I am actually. I'm on the junction of Ben Close and Ben Mead Road in Kidlington, Oxfordshire. Damn, this bloody tripod. There we are, just get a quick little spin around there, you see where I am. That's right. Kidlington's actually in north of Oxford. It's a small town in Oxfordshire. Don't know how much you can there. Just a moment. Yeah, it's a town in Oxfordshire, just north of Oxford, and I suppose areas like this are pretty fairly nondescript, aren't they? It's a suburban residential area in the town of Kidlington in Oxfordshire. And Kidlington is quite a busy place. It's quite large. It's officially a village, even though it's sort of town size. There's the Oxford Airport nearby. There's Oxford Parkway Railway Station, which rumour has it was set up deliberately for David Cameron, so he could easily get to and from his constituency to Westminster. And several main roads that lead north to large places such as Banbury and Birmingham. So it's quite a bustling, busy location. But it's not on the tourist trail. It's not on the tourist trail. And that's very, very strange, because it's been reported that over the last couple of weeks, there's been some strange activity in this area on this road. There's unusual people have suddenly appeared in this area, walking up and down, acting like tourists. This is not on the tourist trail, like I said, but people have been appearing who behave like tourists, on the surface anyway. They've been described as coachloads of people. Although no vehicle has ever been seen dropping them off or picking them up. They just seem to appear out of nowhere. And when they're here, they act like tourists going around a major beauty spot. They appear spellbound by things. But the things they appear spellbound by are things like lampposts, car number plates, drains, manhole covers, things like that. It doesn't quite make sense. They've been described as in racial terms as being Chinese or Japanese, and they also act in there's several other things that make them act strange. They can sometimes behave in quite an intimidating and antisocial way. They're known to they've been reported to knock on people's doors. They've been reported entering people's gardens without permission. There's some lovely gardens around here, as you would have seen. Entering people's gardens without permission. Yeah, there's a nice one. Look, I'll show you that one there. That's a nice one there. See, that's a nice garden. Okay, so it's a nice garden. You can imagine people, admiring it, but they actually walk into the gardens without permission, and they just wander around. They sit on benches and things like that in people's gardens. At one point, one of these people approached one of the residents here and offered to mow their lawn, or asked to use their lawnmower. Now, most of these people don't speak English. Those that do so with a very strong foreign accent. So are they Chinese tourists? I mean, are they Chinese or Japanese? Probably Chinese nowadays. China's the only country in the world that's got any money. In which case, where do they come from? I mean, this is the point. This was first reported on Spotted Kidlington, which is a Facebook group, especially for gossip. There's several other Spotted. You see Spotted Manchester, Spotted Oxford, things like that. There's a Spotted Kidlington, and it's a gossip group basically. And but the media picked it up. The world's media, journalists from all over the world got hold of this. I'm not the first member of the press to actually visit this area, but these people have made inquiries with travel agents, and these inquiries have drawn a blank. No one knows where these people come from. No one knows where they go to. It's a very, very strange case indeed. I did cover this on Hapanwo Voice. Link in the description box. As per Hapanwo TV tradition, you'll find my article on the subject. And next month's UFO magazine, UFO Truth magazine, is going to cover this as well, with my little column in there. They can behave in an antisocial manner. They sometimes demand to enter people's houses. They ask to use the toilet, things like that, and they get on people's nerves basically. And it's a very, very weird place. I mean, it's possible that they are One of the theories that have been put forward is that these are people who are lost. They're actually heading for Stratford-on-Avon. Now, Stratford-on-Avon is about 30 miles away from here, so they're very lost indeed. It's actually, Stratford-on-Avon is actually the birthplace of William Shakespeare, and it's one of the biggest tourist destinations in the country. And you might have seen my Roswell upon Avon video, where I actually took my camera there and did a bit of filming a few months ago now. It's also, I mean, they could have got lost from a more local location. I mean, there's a place near called Blenheim Palace, which I filmed that as well, incidentally. It's one of the Spencer Churchill bloodlines family home. It's possible they're heading for there and they somehow got sidetracked, or they got dropped off in the wrong place or something like that. That's a possibility. But it's hard to know what's going on. Now, one of the residents here actually commented to the media saying that they thought it could be some kind of social experiment, and that's very interesting. It's very interesting that someone would come up with that idea independently. It shows a quite high level of red pilling in this location, which is quite something. However, well, then again, social experiment. A social experiment by whom? That's the question. Tavistock Institute? Common purpose? Or someone much further afield? It can't be ruled out. I mean, this may well turn out to have a very mundane explanation, but at the moment it's far too soon to rule out something more esoteric going on. Now, another thing that I wanted to bring up is that the possibility here of the similarities between this and Men in Black activities. Now, if you've studied, you know, Nick Redfern, he's one who's written a lot about this. Several other people have. Now, Men in Black are reported to behave in certain ways. They appear bemused and spellbound and nervous among quite normal things. They appear fascinated with instruments such as telephones or eating cutlery and things like that. They appear racially very, very different to normal people. They appear foreign looking. And their behaviour can be extremely antisocial, it can be extremely aggressive and intimidating and unusual. They seem to act like madmen or bullies, basically. And they just appear and they come and go from nowhere. They come and go from nowhere to nowhere. They seem to just turn up and then they disappear. No one knows where they're from, where they come and go from. They seem to have no obvious means of transport. Sometimes they drive very unusual cars, old-fashioned they drive cars of a very old-fashioned design or of a make that no one can recognise. So it's possible that kind of profile does fit in with the reports of these strange people on this road in this area. It does fit in. So I don't think Men in Black activity can be ruled out at this point. As I said, this may well turn out to have a very, very mundane explanation, but it's much, much too soon to dismiss the possibility of some kind of Men in Black activity here. Now, Men in Black, some people say there's two main schools of thought where it comes to Men in Black. One is that they're government agents, like Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones in the film. That's not a particularly good film, I think. Another is that they are paranormal themselves, and they are connected with the UFOs because they're very often seen where UFO activity occurs or paranormal phenomena occurs. For example, Point Pleasant, Virginia, in 1965, during the time of the Mothman. If you've read the book The Mothman Prophecies by John Keel, I heartily recommend it. John Keel is another person who's written extensively on the Men in Black. So what you would find is I've had a look through the local media. There has been UFO activity in this area. Especially last year, there were several major sightings actually. And the Men in Black encounters are often linked to UFO encounters. Very often, the Men in Black will actually bring up the subject of UFOs to witnesses of major UFO events and tell them to keep quiet about it. This is where the idea comes from. They might be government agents. But we don't know. That's the question. But you're going to keep an eye on this situation. Going to keep an eye on it. Find out what happens. There may be an update. At any rate, if you have a look around you, there are no actual strange people around here at the moment. Or at least nobody I would say is any stranger than normal. I'm probably the most strange person on this street right now. So everything's normal. Thank you for watching Hapanwo TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order. So, ladies and gentlemen, Hapanwo TV viewers, as always, there's a little addendum to these various plots and these various videos that I do and these various strange scenarios that I investigate. I've just been speaking to a lady called Jane, who lives in the local area. That's not her real name. I've just called her that. She didn't want to be filmed. I asked to interview her. She said no. She has had contact with the media before on this issue. She told me that she's actually spoken to these people. It turns out that on one occasion there was a Polish coach was seen in the area, and it's thought that the Polish coach might have actually dropped off these people. I'm not certain about that because it's a Polish coach, Chinese tourists. I don't know if there's anyone who works in travel and tourism who can actually help me with that. I don't know. But it turns out that they have managed to speak to a couple of the people. The people, most of them don't speak English. A few do with very strong foreign accents. And so there's a lorry coming. And they just said they want to see how ordinary English people live. Which is odd because, I mean, this road, I suppose, is the epitome of English suburbia. However, well, there's plenty of other places like it. That's the whole point. It's pretty typical. So why do they keep coming to Benmead Road in Kidlington? That's a big question. Another possibility could be that it's something to do with Inspector Morse. Now, Inspector Morse, of course, is the fictional Oxford detective created by what's his name? Dennis Potter, the author. I met him, actually. I know Dennis. I don't know him, but I've talked to him. I sort of know him to say hello to. Lives in Summertown, Oxford. Inspector Morse, of course, was filmed all over this area, and some of the scenes were filmed here, I believe. I think most roads in Oxford at some point have had Inspector Morse filming in there. Now, Inspector Morse is very, very popular across the Far East. In China, and Japan and places like that, they love the books and the TV series that was adapted from them are very, very popular reading. So I was just... It's possible that these people are connected to that way, and there's also some reports. What Jane told me is that someone she knows, of course, this is second-hand information. Somebody she knows was contacted by these people. One of these things, these people, whatever they are, came up to her and said something about Harry Potter and said, "I want to see a place that's related to Harry Potter, where Harry Potter was." A place like Harry Potter, where Harry Potter would be. So they chose this place almost like maybe at random. But then I say, if it's at random, why do they keep coming back? Why is it always the same place? This lady Jane also told me that the activity stopped now. There's nothing's been reported here for at least 2 weeks, which indicates apparently when it went viral in the news, it just sort of stopped, which is very, very interesting. Wise Avenue, oh yeah. Now, the most interesting thing that Jane told me was some completely new information. This exclusive to Hapanwo TV. Towards the end of the phenomenon, one of these people, a member of Jane's family, I think it was her son and her daughter-in-law, were staying. And one of these Chinese men in black, whatever they are, came up to her and touched her and wanted to touch her arms, or his arms. Rubbed their hands along his or her arms. It just went up and feeling their arms like that. And that's extremely odd behaviour for a tourist. Extremely odd indeed. Very, very odd indeed. So I don't know what's going on here. I mean, maybe it'd be nice to have come up here and actually, when this was going on. Unfortunately, I didn't have time because I was preparing my speeches for bases and the events in Wales I've attended and New Horizons. But it's really quite something, and it would have been nice to come up here when this activity was going on and actually see some of these things going on. But I didn't get the chance. I know there's no excuse. I live literally about 5 miles from here, so no excuse. Not to worry, not to worry. Well, I hope you find that interesting, ladies and gentlemen, Panwo TV viewers. If I come across any more information, I will let you know. It could be there'll be some updates. I've given Jane my email address and a website reference, so I may be hearing more in time to come. Anyway, this is Ben Mead Road here, Kidlington. Hospital porters, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order.